II. I was in the 45th Infantry Division, and I went into service in 1943. I was drafted right out of high school, 18 years old. Spent 27 months in service, 19 of those were overseas. Spent my 19th birthday in Salerno, Italy, picking apricots off of the apricot tree. And this was in combat at that time. I was wondering, Birmingham, what are you doing here on your 19th birthday? Well, that was the things going on at that time. All of the fellows and gals, were drafted. The men were apparently, well, all of them were drafted at that time. It was not a volunteer army. We were attacked at Pearl Harbor, so we were drafted. I spent time in Italy, France, and Germany in combat in all three areas, combat infantry. A couple things that we want to stress on you this morning, or with you this morning, is number one, think for yourself. And each of us will give you examples of how thinking for ourselves saved our lives. Number two is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we'll each give you some live examples of that while we were in combat, what happened. And then number three, get yourself a good education and stay in school. And here again, we'll give you a little bit of our background and tell you what happened to us and just pass this on to you. How many of you have grandfathers who are in the class here? Okay, I'm a grandpa, and not a great-grandpa yet, but I'm a grandfather. Maybe some of your grandfathers will be talking to you someday like I am talking to you. Okay, so, think for yourself. One of the things that we were doing when we were in service was that we made the invasion of southern France, August 1944, and we hit the beaches. We were in the second wave, and the second wave, that being there's a group of men that went in first, and they hit the beaches and they pushed forward, and then we came in probably 15-20 minutes later and hit the same Adoa Beach to reinforce those soldiers who had come in the first wave. One of the things that we were really concerned about was landmines, and the beach being mined, because if you stepped on a landmine, you would normally just blow yourself up, or land would get killed, or you would blow a foot off or a leg off or something like that. So when the ramp on the boat that we were on, called the landing craft infantry, when that ramp fell down and we hit the beaches, we had to walk off of the ramp and walk through some water about 2 or 3 feet deep in the Mediterranean Sea, and then we hit the beaches, and I thought, boy, golly, what am I going to do on these landmines, about these landmines? I didn't want to get blown up or got killed. And like I say, I was 19 years old at that time. And I thought, gee, if I follow the footsteps of the soldiers that came in the first wave, and I see those footsteps going up and they clearly get through the beach, I should be all right. But if I follow them and I see a big hole in the ground after one of these footsteps has been showing up, then I know that there's probably trouble in this area. So I did that. I took step at a time in somebody else's footprints of the soldiers that hit the first wave and made it off the beach. That was thinking for yourself. It probably saved my life, actually. Number two, if you want to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We were taking a lot of German prisoners during the time that we were in France and going through France and going up to Germany. We were taking a lot of German prisoners. And we took this one group of German prisoners, there were probably 30 of them, and we had captured, and we had them in a courtyard, about half the size of also this room. And they were either standing or sitting down on the ground. And it was in August, and it was hot. It was very hot. And we were thirsty. We were waiting for the MPs, the military police, to come and pick these prisoners up and take them to the rear and put them in stockades or take them wherever they were taking the prisoners at that time. So I had my canteen on the back of my belt, and this is a canteen like you used in the World War II. I had the canteen on the back of my belt, and the cap was on it. Of course, I unscrewed it, and I was going to take a drink. And I got it up about this high, and I noticed that 2 or 3 of the prisoners that were in front of me were really watching me. Their eyes were as big as saucers, because they were as thirsty or more thirsty than we were. And I thought, well, I'll offer them a drink of water. So I took the canteen and offered it to the one German who was sitting in the front row, so to speak. And I said, here, take a drink. And he looked up at me, and he looked at the canteen, and he said, Nix. I said, no. I said, I wonder why this guy is telling me no. I said, he's as thirsty as I am. And then it dawned on me, probably because I didn't take a drink, actually. I only held it up like that and didn't drink out of it. He probably thought there was something in that canteen that wouldn't be good for him. I said, well, I'll try it again. So I took it, put it up to my mouth and took a swig of water, and then handed it to him. And at first he looked at me again and he smiled a little bit, and then he finally took it and he drank it also. When he was drinking that canteen of water, drinking from that canteen of water, the other 11 men from the squad did the same thing. They took their canteens off and gave it to these prisoners. And here we again, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we were hoping that if we ever got captured, we may get the same treatment. But like I said before in the first session, this was over 60-some years ago that this happened. And that still sticks with me. So, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Another case of this is that we were taking this hill. The Germans were on top, and we were down below. They were firing at us, and we were shooting up at them. When the person got wounded, the German soldiers I'm talking about, their medic would go over and they would fix that person up or take him out of the firing zone. And you could tell the medics because of the red cross that they had on their arm. That was the Red Cross insignia that was international. You never shot a medic, or you were never shot at a medic. Well, when we would see those German prisoners and the medic going across the top of the hill, we knew that somebody had got wounded. So we would quit firing, and it was a strange feeling. It would become just quiet all of a sudden. But you know, the same thing happened when a number of our people got hit. They would stop firing back at us. So it was a different war. It was a different type of warfare. But here again, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In this case, they did unto us as we did unto them. But that's another thing. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Also, the education, well, that we were able to get after the war was over. The GIs at that time had what we call a GI Bill. We were able to go to school or finish our high school on the GI Bill, paid for by the government. Most of the fellows took advantage of it at that time, and there were ladies and also in the WAVs and the WACs, and some of them also took advantage of the GI Bill. But the thing is, that opened up so many other doors for us because we had a good education after we got through. We made it through high school, and then we were able to go to college afterwards. So one of the points we want to stress here is stay in school, get yourself a good education, and get as most as you can out of your high school days. My high school days were fantastic. I had a great time. It was a jock, football, basketball, track, and everything. It was just a lot of fun. College was tough. It didn't come very easy. It was real tough because I goofed a little bit around in high school, just had a good time. But when you set your goals high also. And like we said before, like I said before, shoot for the stars, set yourself some high goals. And if you shoot for the stars, but you land on the moon, you're still on high ground. So don't be too scared to set your goal and set them high. Okay, any questions? We're going to take questions, and we're glad to have your questions. I am hard of hearing, so my interpreters here will probably have to interpret for you, but any questions? No questions.
You're scared.
Okay, if we don't have any questions, we'll go on to our next speaker then.
So you got a question?
We got one here, okay.
When you got back,
Yes.
was college paid for, or did you have to pay for college?
No, when I got back, they had what they called the GI Bill at that time, and they paid for it all. They had our tuition allowance. They also paid us a small stipend while a month for food, well, and for lodging. Basically, it was all paid for, but during the summer months, we had to work. If we didn't go to school, we had to work to sustain us during those months. Instead of college, got my degree in engineering, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. That's usually a 4-year course, engineering course. That's in Michigan Technological University is where I graduated from. And I was trying to make it in 3 years. I was not the sharpest knife in the drawer in high school. And I didn't make it in 3, but I made it in 3.5. But it was work, and it was hard work. But it's the persistency. And what they said, college in my case was 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration, because I really had to work. I mean, we were studying 6 or 7 days a week. It was not easy, but it was worth it. I mean, after school, it's opened up all kinds of doors. Like I mentioned, I worked for GE for about 40 years in manufacturing engineering, did some traveling within the foreign countries, and retired in 1990. Now I'm working with the school district. Been with them for 21 years. Love what I'm doing with them. Well, it just opened all kinds of doors for you. But an education, young people, is tremendous. It's real important. So don't lose sight of that. Think for yourself, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and to get yourself a good education. It does pay off in the long run. If you're not happy with what you're doing, get out of it and get into something that you like to do. I was fortunate. I had a good job in everything I worked at. I was real happy. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anything else? Okay. We got another speaker coming up here, and our next speaker is going to be talking to you about Vietnam.